My name is Hemant Mehta, and I'm the chair of the Secular Student Alliance Board of Directors. That's my atheist job, and in my regular job, I teach high school math. I like the word atheist because it's the first one I identified with. I think if you had shown me the word bright or humanist at first, it would have fit. I may have stuck with those labels, but when when I saw atheist and it just said, you don't believe in God, it's so strongly. That's it. That's exactly it. And there's nothing else to it more than that for me. So I identified with atheist. And I think the fact that I was raised in not a fundamentally religious household, religion was never a bad thing for me, but it wasn't what I believed in anymore. So I think coming from that background, where religion was such a big part of my life, I really not just wanted to be an atheist. I wanted to be, I wanted to help other people, understand, like, look, this makes so much sense. When I was 14, I lost my faith. So I didn't really make a big deal about that in high school. When I entered college, though, I wanted to meet other people who had that same sort of view. So I with a friend of mine, I started a group for atheists. We called it Students Without Religious Dogma, SWORD. So we started this atheist group, and she told me that there were actually national atheist organizations, in fact, some for college students, which really excited me because I didn't know that existed. And I learned about the Secular Student Alliance. I got more involved with them. I wanted to know more about them. They gave me a scholarship to one of their conferences. And so I attended this one conference, and I learned about them, firsthand. And eventually, when I graduated from college, I ran for their board of directors. And I was elected to the board of directors so I could help in the decision-making process. And, cut to a couple years later, I was voted chair of that board. So that's where I am right now. The Secular Student Alliance, the biggest thing that we can do really is help create and support and maintain these college groups across the country that are for non-religious students. So, we have our budget. We offer them funding to bring speakers to their school or hold events. We help them figure out, usually how these groups work is you have a very passionate person that starts it up. Then they graduate a couple years later and the group folds. Well, how do you keep it going? And we help them with the succession planning. We help them, get the word out about advertising. How do you get people to come to your meetings? These are the resources we can offer them. In addition to funding, we give them travel grants if they want to go to a conference where maybe an atheist or two are speaking. We're really focusing on helping students achieve service projects and helping them get into that community. And, we had one girl from University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. She spearheaded a group of atheists from her school together with the Campus Crusade for Christ group at their school. They went down to New Orleans over their spring break for a week and helped a family fix up their home. They helped do community service while they were down there, not because, it was God compelled you to do it, but because it's just the right human thing to do. That's a great thing. We helped fund that. There was another girl who saw that, prisoners, when they're in jail, they get all this religious literature left and right. She wanted to make a contribution to that, so she wrote to atheist authors across the country, some of the biggest names you've ever heard of, and they contributed books to her so she could send them to prisoners. It's called like the Free Thought Books to Prisoners Drive. And she now gets letters from prisoners across the country saying, I heard you give books that are non-religious. Can you send me some? Because all I'm getting is the Bible or, the Purpose-Driven Life or stuff like that. Can you send me some real intellectual material like that? And she's able to do that. And that's something we help fund as well. So we love getting those ideas from people, really reaching out to areas that we don't see very often. Hopefully we can educate people in science along the way, bring speakers to their school that a different point of view they may not normally get. And that's exciting. That the fact that we could touch those college students in a way that other groups may not be able to tap into, that's exciting. I think in a few years' time, as the younger generations are growing up, you're going to see more people become non-religious. I don't know if they'll become atheist or humanist or come to these conferences. They may not. But I think religion's beginning to lose its grip because it's getting more political, because they're really espousing these beliefs that don't make a lot of sense, and younger people see through that. I think you're going to see less of that in the future. So I'm optimistic about that. I'm also hopeful that, the Secular Student Alliance and other groups like ours, we could help those college students who are who have this identity, but they don't have anyone to share it with. They'll be able to find more groups with like-minded people so that they don't have to feel like they have to stay in the closet about it. They could express themselves freely and not be afraid of what the repercussions are going to be. So yeah, I'm optimistic that in the future, it's not going to be a bad thing to be an atheist student or high schooler. And I don't think people in the future are going to hear as many stories about, when I was in high school, I was beaten up for being an atheist. They're not going to hear stories like that because it's not going to happen very often. The most important thing anyone can do, you don't have to be part of an organization to have an impact. I think the most important thing anyone can do is just tell people around them when it comes up that they don't believe in God. Don't hide that. Don't try to, work your way around it. But if it comes up in conversation or something, don't be afraid to say, oh, I don't really believe that. Or have a discussion, have a friendly debate with your friends and family about those issues. I mean, it was hard as hell for me to come out to my family. And when I did, yes, there were shouting matches over certain issues. That happens a lot. But they didn't kick me out of the house, at the time. They didn't, disown me. It was contentious for a while. But over time, they began to understand where I was coming from, even though we disagree. I have friends that, I asked this question on my website. What was the reaction when you said you were an atheist? What was the reaction from people? And some people say, you're an atheist, but you believe in God, right? Or you're an atheist, so where do you get your morality from? Or, better yet, you're an atheist? I am too. And that happens. Like, people are afraid to come out about it, but when you start doing it, other people feel comfortable coming out about it too. I think the more people who know someone who is an atheist, you're going to see a lot less stigma against atheism as long as more people know other atheists in their lives. And you hear a lot of people saying, you're an atheist? I don't know any atheists. I've never spoken to an atheist. No, you probably have, but, they didn't say anything about it. And the more people that come out, the better it's going to be for everyone. I think that most of us are not spiteful of religion. We don't hate you for being religious. I think we have a problem in our community, in our atheist community, of trying to say that we don't have to respect your beliefs. We can disagree with your beliefs. But usually what happens is it comes off as saying, I disagree with you. You're a bad person. I don't like you. That's how it comes off. And I think I would like for the religious community to know that, no, it's not about you. I like you. If you're religious, I don't have a problem with you. But I would like to discuss those beliefs, and I would like to, hash out, some of these differences and why I believe what I believe. And I like having that discussion. And I don't want you to feel afraid, if you are religious, to come to me and talk about it, because I'm not going to try to save you or not save you. But I want to have that conversation. I want to know where you're coming from. And I think a lot of people would say the same thing I'm saying. We want to have that discussion. We want to talk about our differences, and we're not afraid of that. And don't be afraid of us just because we don't believe what you believe.